Connie, I'm thrilled to be interviewing you. Listen, you're sitting in my favorite place, the sauna. I literally I call it my office, and that's literally where I sit with my iPad, my phone, or I just relax or watch the little, you got your little console in there where you can watch a movie. I absolutely love it. And you are the founder of my favorite brand of saunas. So welcome, and thank you for coming to share about your saunas and why they are so fantastic with me today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Leaf. It's so wonderful to be here. I'm so honored.
Oh, well, have you got your sauna on at the moment? Are you sitting in a heated up sauna, or is
it's not heated. It is on. It is powered on, but the programs are not on.
Not on.
Right. I think it's best.
Yeah, you might just start cooking. You might just start sweating in a moment. I look forward to my sauna at the end of each day. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself that's not in your bio, and what motivates you, and how did you get into developing the best brand of saunas out there?
Yeah, well, I'll start with that question as far as how I got into this, and I'll kind of do backwards into a little bit more about me as a person. So my brother had heavy metal toxicity and suffered over 20 plus years ago, and could not find a solution to cure him. And his dentist recommended infrared heat. And he noticed that it started to make just a bit of a difference in an infrared blanket. And then once he started to investigate, there was actually a product on the market that was an infrared sauna. He bought it and he started using it. It took forever. I remember it so well, but at least it was finally some forward momentum. Mm-hmm. And so he then told me, we were both living in St. Louis at the time. He said, sis, this has made such a difference in my life. How do I get the word out? How do I tell everybody else? And so he started originally, and then 3 years later, I joined forces and decided to leave my great career. It was a great career at Procter & Gamble. I was on the pharmaceutical side. I was very passionate I still am very passionate about being healthy and helping other people be healthy. And I thought I was doing that on the pharmaceutical side and the gastrointestinal cardiovascular, but left all of that behind. And literally, I felt like I jumped off a cliff and hoped the parachute opened, and have spent the rest of my career dedicated to helping people empower themselves to live healthier lives as a result of the products that we make and as a result of what we do every day.
Well, that's amazing. That's such a great story.
Thank you. I feel very blessed to really live, my dream, which is to make a difference in this world, and especially on the healthy side, and to help people be healthier. So that's why I got started. As far as what motivates me and a little bit about me, what motivates me is to be able to, be my best be, and to be able to do and have experiences that help me be, the best Connie Zach possible. And when I was a little girl, I think it came from my mom, and, you have a beautiful family, and my mom left this imprint when I was little that said, you can do anything you want to do, and just set your mind and believe in yourself, and you can achieve your wildest dreams. And I really believed that. And that's still to this day how I am wired, the good, bad, and the ugly. I believe I can do it.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit, it's not in my bio,
wonderful.
But
no, that's great. That's lovely. Well, I got an infrared sauna. I bought one of your infrared saunas 12 years ago, and I have used it if I'm at home. I used to travel so much pre-COVID, but the first thing I do when I get off the plane, get home into my sauna, but every day I sauna every single day. It has made such a difference. And I know I've always loved saunaing, but when I was deciding to purchase my own one at home, there were certain things that I was looking for as a scientist, and that really got my attention, was the information about the Sunlighten Saunas. So can you talk a little bit about, the company, you started it, but how is this sauna, why is infrared sauna, first of all, different? How's it different to the other types of saunas? Let's start there, that there's different types of saunas, and then let's go into specifically the benefits of infrared and how your particular sauna is different.
So first, we'll address how is infrared sauna different than the other saunas.
Yeah, let's start
and we'll start there. And so infrared heat, the infrared spectrum, comes from the spectrum of the sun, comes from that magical light, but it filters out. There's no UV rays in that spectrum of light. And the way the spectrum works with the body is it heats the body directly versus heating the air. And so you're not hot because the air is hot, which is how other types of convectional heat works. You are hot because your body is hot directly. And I do want to make one point when you were talking about you were doing research. It kind of goes to, as I was reflective and preparing for this interview, and I'm thinking, gosh, why do I do what I do? Just kind of being reflective. And when we started the company, what was really super important to us, coming from, I was working at Procter & Gamble on the pharmaceutical side, and I got trained. It's where I, grew up and started my career. And I was really trained on the science side. I was trained to only make claims that you can substantiate. Science, 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 like just really, really stress that. And when I started this, I didn't know anything about infrared, right? So our goal at Sunlighten, and not even our goal, like the way we exist, is everything is substantiated, connected to science. And so it's really important that as we have developed products, as we developed heaters, as we developed anything that we're developing, we look to science first to say, what is the most effective, what is the most efficient, way to deliver that to the body to deliver the highest quality results possible, as well as the highest quality product. So that's a little bit of the background of, what motivates us at Sunlighten and why we do what we do. We didn't want to just create a box of heat, for consumers. It really is based on what's the optimum wavelength, what's the optimum light frequency, how much of it can you get into your body? And then once it gets into your body, what are the transformational changes that it's doing? And, how can we optimize your experience and your results so that ultimately are really what we're trying to do is have you be as efficient as possible. The one thing you can never get more of is time, right?
Yeah.
And so we might as well make that moment that you're in here, every moment, every minute, be the maximum result possible while you're here.
Oh, that's fantastic. So it's different to your infrared, it's different to like the hot rocks or the steam rooms and that kind of thing. Can you just quickly talk about that difference?
Yeah. So the steam is moist heat, and it works at a very, very high level of heat. What happens kind of scientifically a little bit of is when the wavelengths, when it gets really, really excessively hot, it forces that heat to stay out here. And so it really isn't getting into your cells, and it's just moisture that's staying outside. Or like those really, really dry, there's also the dry saunas that are really, really hot. Everything's staying out there. And what we want as far as optimal results, as far as detoxification and boosting immunity and lots of other things I'm sure we'll talk about, is we want this powerful, powerful light spectrum to get inside our bodies and to work naturally with our cells and supercharge our cells and purify our bodies and help us fight, especially now, help us fight disease, help us be as strong and protective as possible. And the only way to do that is to get inside, not to stay out here. Because out here, you're still going to get hot, and any type of heat is good. But if you're really looking for a transformation, you really need to get as much as possible inside your body.
And I love that. One of the things that really got my attention was on your site, you talk about the fact that it's 7 times more effective, more or less, than a standard sauna, and it's going right inside, as you said. So it's going to the around your viscera, you've got the layers of fat. And when you talk about, that's where the toxins are holed up. And so a traditional sauna is not going to penetrate there, but your saunas are going to penetrate all the way through to the viscera. And for me as a scientist and for the work that I do, that was very interesting and very important, because if that's where your toxins are, it's going to impact, you want to get that out. And the infrared sauna is going right the way through. And that was fascinating and really got my attention. And then also the cellular health, that you can actually influence cellular health because we're all cells anyway. So it's so important that we actually have something that gets inside the cell and helps with right down to the level of the DNA. Can you talk about, have I explained that correctly? The 7 times more effective in getting to the fat around the viscera and getting those toxins out?
You explained it perfectly. I could not do it more elegantly and more eloquently than you did. That was perfect.
Oh, well, that's perfect. Well, then let's talk about some of the other benefits, because that was, when people say to me, like, why do you sauna? I say, well, that's the first reason. I mean, I don't want toxins around, because I know from, as a scientist and in the medical field, toxins around your viscera, in the fats around your viscera, you have a big problem. That's going to immediately lead to a problem. But then you have, on your site, you have detoxification, which we've discussed, but you've also had, you talk about immunity, pain relief, weight loss, relaxation, blood pressure, circulation, natural anti-aging, wound healing, muscle recovery, and autoimmune diseases. And that's fascinates me as a person who's using them. Like when I come back from somewhere like Orange Theory and I've done a particularly heavy workout, I am desperate to get in the sauna because of just the intense muscle healing that you get and the relaxation in your body. I've had wounds before, I get in the sauna. I've had surgeries before, I get in the sauna, and the speed at which my body healed. That's fascinating, and that goes to the cellular health. So I don't know if you want to say how you want to handle all these fantastic benefits. If you want to just jump around and talk about some of the other benefits. Even I think immunity is like a hot topic now with COVID.
Yeah. No, they're all really important. Let's go back to detox for a second, because we talked about it and you gave a really great explanation. I want to build a little bit, because there's so many things that people don't think about that can be trapped inside your body. So, there's mercury, right? And heavy metals. And we have seen data showing a removal of mercury, aluminum, cadmium, lead, excessive amounts. And we know that a lot of these metals are in, deodorants and toothpaste. I mean, they're in like common household products, right? Everything. So that it starts to get into your body, and they're called heavy metals for a reason, because they're really, it's hard to get them out. And this, to me, being inside, so even if it was just only for detox, if it was just one benefit, being able to sweat out these impurities while sitting in here, and you can do a variety of different things. You can meditate, you can exercise, you can stretch, but having the technology and the Sunlighten, the infrared therapy come through your body and push all those impurities out. Really, one of my favorite benefits is that lightening the load, right? And just getting those heavy metals and different types of impurities out of your body. I know we did a study, it was in 2005, a study with University of Missouri, Kansas City. So what is that, 15 years ago, and showed there was somebody who had arsenic trapped in their body, and they removed, after the study did the same test, and the arsenic was removed. So almost any type of element, there's another doctor that does a lot of research on oxycodones and those different types of products, and showing a removal of that, which is so powerful.
Wow. That's fantastic.
It is. It's really, it's amazing. And if you're listening, it's like, God, it's so hard to believe, it sounds too good to be true. That's how I used to think. I remember when my brother, told me, if I hadn't seen it right, myself, my own two eyes, and watched his recovery from being so sick and bedridden to being able to exercise again, it would be hard for me, to believe, which is why we dug really into the science and started to say, okay, how can this be true? And what kind of results can you do? And another big study that was done at University of Missouri, Kansas City, studied Sunlighten's product against a generic infrared. So it was a really complicated study. It was a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized study. So people in A or B we didn't know. Nobody knew which one was the real thing, because it was exact same unit. And the findings with that was that Sunlighten's product demonstrated a statistically significant lowering of blood pressure, which is
fantastic. Yeah.
It's such a huge thing to be able to achieve just by sitting inside here.
Unreal.
Because it's so difficult to affect the heart, and heart obviously is so important. And there's many coming from pharma. Drug companies, spend millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to get a stat sig number on lowering blood pressure, and doing it while not affecting the rest of the body, trying to do that while,
hasn't happened, because all of those drugs do affect the body. So
Right. So that's another study that was done. So detox, lowering blood pressure, we can talk about immunity.
Let's talk about immunity. Let's touch on immunity.
So one of the things that, and we always knew how much the technology helped, but, now, of course, with everything going on, I have an increased heightened awareness. And so essentially what happens is when Sunlighten technology gets inside your body, it's creating a state of, hormesis, it's where it's changing your body. And that heat that's going in activates the heat shock proteins. And those are so powerful at protecting the body and potentially even, warding off viruses and diseases. And so, and the key that we've learned is the consistency and the frequency. So you really using this every day, getting that boost of heat, because what's happening is, to use like lay terms, is you're creating this fever, right, without disease. Yeah. So you're every day helping to increase your core temperature, creating this fever, and then the body is working to cool itself down, and so you're getting that wonderful natural effect of being healthy, and you're conditioning your body to be healthy every day and to ward off disease, so that you create this beautiful natural state, so that if something does come in contact, with you, you're more powerful. I always think, the visual I create for myself that I told my kids when we went into isolation is, it's like, we're going to go and we're just going to like create this armored environment where, we're going to eat healthier than we've ever eaten. We're going to sauna
more than ever.
Sauna more than we've ever sauna. We're going to drink more hot water. We're going to do everything more than we've ever, so that we are as protected as possible. And ultimately, when we come out, we're stronger, right, than we've ever been before. So it was kind of like a mommy boot camp.
Well, it really does work. I mean, I can speak for that. There's days when I've woken up in the morning and I've got to travel everywhere or whatever, and just to get my mind focused, if I'm at all sleepy or unfocused or even feeling flat, I jump in my sauna, even if it's 20 minutes, and immediately I can feel a shift in my body. I'm alert, I'm awake, I'm mentally focused, and it's radical. That's why I think I love it so much, because it's not something you have to wait for the impact. It actually is immediate. And I do some of my best work. I know it's hot to work in a sauna, but I do some of my best creative work in the sauna. So let's talk about I want to talk about cardiovascular health and those things as well, but let's just talk about mental health too, because everything you've just described in terms of that reset that you get with the thermoregulation and the heat, that has a massive impact on the brain and resetting the brain. So any kind of shock, either icy cold or extreme heat, and as you said, creating that fever and so on. But just in general, the mental health impacts, I know you had some studies done on that too.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the studies. I just don't want to forget the thought of comparing. You asked me at the beginning about comparing Sunlighten's product, to other types of saunas. And one of the big differences, specifically in the experience that you just referred to, is that when you're in a traditional sauna or even like a steam, and you're getting such excessive heat, you can get drained. It's kind of like if you're outside of the sun, you're at the beach all day. Gosh, when you're done, you're just done, right? You're just so drained. And my favorite difference between Sunlighten's product and those traditional or steam is exactly what you just described. Is when you're done, I feel like, okay, let's
conquer the world. Yeah,
I can conquer. It's exactly how I feel, and it's feeling, especially with everything going on today. Yeah. And as we'll get into the mental health discussion, I mean that feeling and that confidence, that mental state of I really can do anything that I put my mind to, is priceless. And that's one of the benefits on the mental side is the way the infrared is working with the body. And the studies have shown that a couple different things. One is it helps to maintain healthy levels of cortisol in the body. We also know some cardiovascular studies, the way that Sunlighten's technology works with the blood vessels, and your system is increasing the circulation, increasing blood flow, increasing oxygen to the tissues. Right into the brain, showing before and after pictures of the lining and just how much cleaner and thinner it is versus just this kind of ugly looking, trapped. And that's a result of everything being able to move, back to its normal state. And that affects the brain. You feel like, oh my gosh, I have so much more oxygen up. I mean, I do the same thing. Yeah. If I need like just a quick reset on my brain, I will go in there. We have an experience, and it's an add-on that I do in conjunction, which is acoustic resonance therapy. It's a vibrational therapy. And that helps that actually clinically shown, scientifically helps with the brain waves to shut down that
high beta.
Yes.
High beta. I work with the QEEG. So as it works on, because you don't want that too much of the high beta, which makes you lose concentration. It keeps it balances, and you get an increase in alpha. And those studies really fascinated me because that's the kind of world that I move in as well.
Yeah. And if you can help to increase your focus and improve your mental clarity, ultimately that goes back to how you feel and giving you that confidence and that boost of energy to be able to go out and, and face the day. And right now, there's a lot of people that have anxiety and fear and, resistance, and they're kind of stuck. This is a great place to get out of that, being stuck, build confidence, scientifically, get everything moving the way it's supposed to be moving, and invest in yourself so that you are able to function, and operate in a, productive environment.
Oh, absolutely. I can't agree with you more. The big thing you said there is to increase oxygen and blood flow to the brain. That's vital. And then you can also do that meditation and calming down, or read a book or something. So, which helps you to just calm down and refocus in such a busy, do breathing exercises, all that kind of thing, which is so fantastic. I also found that I used it for myself. Like when I write books, I tend to work through the night because it's not for weeks on end, but especially when it comes to sort of crunch time just before handing in, or I've got a major project. So I'll jump in the sauna at like 9 at night. It'll wake me up. And that's, I've known, if I get in the sauna too late at night, it'll actually keep me up because it really makes you alert. But if I need to stay up, that's something I will do, is get in the sauna, because it just makes me more alert and so focused. And then when I do sleep, it's so deep. So that's, it's very, very deep sleep when you do. So it's a great way. So for mental health, it's got a lot of benefits in terms of helping with depression, anxiety.
Yeah, there's some studies on depression. Dr. Razon did a study on whole body hyperthermia and the effects that it had on how you felt, as far as depression, and showing a big difference, decreasing depression afterwards. So there's lots of different ways. Mental health is such as it's
huge. It's massive.
It's huge. Yeah. It's massive, and it's broad, and everybody looks at it a little differently. Yeah. For me, it's mental health is mental clarity. It's getting rid of that, what I call like mind chatter, where there's so much going on where I can't focus. And I know that I'm my best me when I can laser in and focus and do what I need to do. And it really helps with that, as well as just the energy level. I have a high level of energy, and I need that in order to, do everything that I'm doing. And so I need this to keep me sustained as far as the energy level and keep going.
I love that. It's sort of, we're not trying to say here that this is the panacea, that it's the answer, but it's part of, and I love how you said that mental health is something that all of us humans experience, and mental illness is not it's just when we're reacting to life. So whatever we can do to help us, and this is another tool in the toolbox that's extremely scientific and extremely helpful. It's used a lot medically as well. There's a lot of medical clinics that you can actually go and book an infrared sauna session, and it helps with patients with all kinds of issues, including depression and immune issues and cardiovascular and all that kind of thing. So I thought that was really great that there's a lot of medical clinics now using the saunas.
Yes. Well, there's so many things that are connected, so many medical conditions that are connected to, detox, like, having a toxic burden inside your body. If you can get rid of that, it can help to, with Lyme disease and mold toxicity and different types of conditions, and then obviously there's so many things connected to cardiovascular, disease. And so if we have a tool that we know can safely, non-invasively help to contribute to a healthier heart, and if you can normalize your blood pressure, and you can, increase your blood flow and increase your circulation and increase the lining and essentially contribute to a healthier heart, there's so many different medical conditions that you can help with. It may not cure, I'm not suggesting that it's just like you said, like the end all be all for, but it is an excellent resource, an excellent tool that you can do at home now. Yes. We're all not traveling, and you might as well go in and do something for yourself. And every day, that 30 to 40 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
So, I've noticed that I've increased my frequency, I've increased my length, they're more than I ever did before because I'm home, and I can, and I want to, because I have the knowledge, of how much it can help me.
Yeah, no, it's just fantastic. Quickly, how long should you stay in an infrared sauna for? And then I just want to come back to some of the other health benefits. So what is a recommended time that I could spend hours in the sauna, especially in the summer. It's a bit more difficult because it gets a little hot. Then you have to cool down. So go out and reset, drop your heart rate and then go back in again. If you're doing like a sort of spa kind of day, sometimes I do that where I'll spend a couple of hours, but then there's lots of breaks in between, lots of liquid. But what is your recommendation in terms of time? Our
recommendation is 40 minutes.
Okay.
If you have, one of the Impulse 3-in-1s, we have 4 different series of models that we've developed over the past 20 years. This one is the only one it's the only one on the market that has all 3 parts of the infrared spectrum. As a result of that, we created programs that were preset so that you didn't have to think about, okay, how much near infrared do I need? How much mid infrared? How much far infrared? But instead, you just press a button. And so the reason I bring up that preset program is when you talk about links, is every program, there's 6 of them, are based on scientific studies, 56 incomplete, to cover the different benefits. And so each program is a different time frame based on science. And so if you didn't have the program, and then you would do 40 minutes, for sure. But if you have the programs, if you have this particular model, then I would recommend using the programs, because it's just one notch up. It's taking advantage of science and taking advantage of the brain that we put together, and let us do all the work, and you just press a button, you just sit there and take advantage of it.
That's wonderful, and it's doing all that great stuff for you, which is fantastic. What about for children? Are they safe for children?
That's a great question. I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and so we recommend 1 minute per age. So my 10-year-old will be 10 minutes, my 12-year-old will be 12 minutes. And then, it's about listening to the body, just like your own body, right? Yeah. And as a parent, what's best for your kids. And so my 12-year-old is in here with me, which he loves. And he's in here for 12 minutes, and he's like, Mom, I'm not done yet. Well, you know what? Then I'm going to let him in, for a little bit longer. And I'm just going to, watch him. And the kids are amazing. I'm so inspired by my kids, because they know their bodies so well. I'll take one more bite or something, and they look at their plate. They're like, I'm finished. Like, oh my gosh, that's so fantastic.
So they just know. Yeah, that's really great. So to tune in. So 1 minute for every age. So they're 12 minutes, 10 minutes, but to maybe a few minutes extra depending on how they're feeling. Well, that's a really great.
Or less.
Or less. Okay.
If the 10-year-old is in there for 5 minutes and they're like, it was showing signs of they're done, then listen to that.
So that even that 5 minutes makes a huge difference in the body, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Absolutely. And, if you only have, it's the greatest thing. If you have it at home and you only have a certain amount of minutes in between, you have a 2:30 call and, 2:45 or whatever, and you only have 15 minutes, get in there. And you may not have this intense, profuse sweat as a result, but just getting the infrared into your body, into transforming it, as well as working with the brain, right, and helping to increase that circulation, is going to make your 2:45
so much more effective.
More productive.
Exactly. So even jumping in for that 5-10 minutes is fantastic. Just being in there is just fantastic. Well, that's amazing. So what do you recommend in the morning, at night, or is it up to the person?
It's up to the person. It's just like you said, you have, you're writing a book or you're doing something, and where maybe normally you would do it, in the morning, but you know how it affects your body. And if you do it late enough, then it's going to help you stay up, and it's going to make you be more productive. So you might as well do it at night. It's completely
personal kind of, so I found if I happen to have had a bad night of sleep for some reason, maybe working too much, or just one of those, every now we have those nights and I've got a really full day, then I find I jump in, I wake up sleepy and I'll jump in just to wake myself up. So then that may just be sometimes 10 minutes, but it does wonders. So it's, as you said, it's very much to listen to your body and do it whenever it suits your lifestyle and what your needs are.
Yes. And I will tell you, I can give you personal experience as well as there's also lots of wellness clinics that if you use we have a pain relief program, and that's in the Impulse, the 3-in-1 series. And if you use the pain relief program right after either an injury or, for me, my personal story is I was doing it right after I was training for a marathon, and I would do it after a long run, like a 14-mile run, a 12-mile, sometimes even those 3-mile runs, they just killed my knees and my feet.
Yeah.
And the speed to get that inflammation down, that pain down,
incredible.
It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So when you talk about timing, I was kind of building on your question of morning or night.
Yeah.
And there isn't really any answers, preference. There is, if you have an injury or if you're in pain, and if you pulled out your back or if your neck is hurting or, you just had a long volleyball session, I don't know, whatever you're doing.
Whatever the reason,
the best time to go in is right after that to kind of treat those angry cells and that inflammation and get everything working again.
I can attest to that. I tell you, whenever any kind of pain, any of us, any of my family, anything, as you say, whether it's from a sports injury, whether it's you're just feeling down, whether you've injured yourself or even post-surgery, getting in has been amazing. So that's been incredible. What are some common mistakes that people make when it comes to using a sauna?
Well, I think the most common is what you addressed at the very beginning. So people who are, watching and listening to this won't make that because they heard at the very beginning. So people don't understand. So there's a couple of things. One is they don't understand the difference between traditional sauna, like a sauna with either hot steam or hot air, excessive hot air, like 180, 190, that type of temperature. They don't understand how that's different than a Sunlighten infrared.
Which goes into the body,
which goes into the body. Well, I just thought of another thing. So a second one is they definitely don't understand that within the infrared spectrum of light, there's 3 different parts of that spectrum. They don't
understand
there's
that.
a near, mid, and far. They don't understand that. And then the most common is that when somebody says infrared sauna, kind of similar to sauna over here, it's like it's all the same.
Yeah, they're definitely not the same. Mm-hmm.
Right. No. Infrared is a very specific part of the sun's spectrum. And in order to transform the cells, in order to really get the results we've been talking about, is you have to have the right frequency, the right quality, the right materials. You have to deliver the maximum amount into the body. Otherwise, you're just getting a little bit of infrared and a lot of excessive heat. And, I don't have to knock anything. That's not a bad thing.
It's not going to, not the same level of benefit.
Right. It's not going to lower your blood pressure. We talked about it's not going to get you the removal of the toxic element, all the things we've talked about.
The boosting of the immune system and everything. So it's really like you even blood pressure, circulate, anti-aging. We mentioned the wound healing, muscle recovery, autoimmune. Let's talk about the natural anti-aging.
Yeah, the anti-aging. I'm here at Sunlighten, and so this isn't my exact personal sauna, but I used to have a certain way. Well, I still have a certain way that I sit inside mine, because we have these near infrared LEDs. There are these huge LEDs that have this really powerful invisible light. And it's powerful invisible light because if we didn't convert it to an LED, it would be excessively hot, which is not good for your skin. Mm-mm. So we've converted it to these powerful LEDs, and how it works on anti-aging is it accelerates cell turnover, and it gets the body working a little bit faster so that your cells rejuvenate, your skin turns over faster. And so you have that healthy, natural glow, to your skin. And it also helps when it does that. It helps with wrinkles as well as like scars. It'll help. We did another study. You can tell we're big on studies. A study on wound healing as it related to specific surgery, and showing a difference in the wound that was specifically used by the Sunlighten near infrared. And that wound healed much better than any of the other wounds. And it's because of the frequency of the near infrared we use. we worked with a lot of scientists, a lot of doctors on perfecting the nanometers, perfecting the exact level, because this is energy, right? And it's like,
you got to be careful with it.
Right. You have to be careful. You have to be precise. You don't want to be off, which is why it's so important for people who are looking for an infrared sauna or a regular sauna, whatever type. It's why it's so important to really understand the science, understand, what has gone into developing the right types of infrared, whether it's far, mid, or near. And then once you understand that, understanding, how much of this am I getting into the body, and at what frequency am I getting it into my body, and then what results should I, look for.
Expect. I love that.
I love Sunlighten.
I love that. I love that you've got all the different programs. It's so nice to be able to go and select if you want for your, the skin. Because what is the skin? There's this one for your for the anti-aging.
The anti-aging, yeah. And what I love about the anti-aging, is that it does not have any mid-infrared in it. So, which is, I love that, because it's using science to say, because mid-infrared is a little bit hotter, and we really don't want to have excessive heat, again, on that skin. Your skin is so precious. We want to purify, I always say, purify the body and the skin will follow. So we want to purify the body for the skin to follow, and for the skin to remove all those impurities and have that beautiful sunlight and glow getter look. But then we also, since we have the ability now to have the near infrared LEDs, we also want to attack the skin from the surface, right? And to give that exfoliation and that cell turnover. So we're doing it on the front end, and we're working on, and as well as going on the inside and purifying the body and getting that deep, deep cellular sweat. And then when you're done, and people always say, one of my favorite things, we have a day spa downstairs in our building, and I love seeing people at the checkout desk when they come out and the head of Sunlighten package, a purifying package, because they look just radiant, beautiful, right? And I'm just like, I love what she's having.
Exactly. I know that is, you do feel it. You just feel so incredible afterwards. That really is a fact. And it's nice that you can select the programs. The Impulse one, that's got that you're sitting in now. That's got that infrared light for the anti-aging, hasn't it? It's got that built into there. So when you select the anti-aging program, it's going to do that. Yeah. Okay. And the pain relief and all those. Fantastic. Okay. So very quickly,
it's a lower temperature. So when I'm doing the anti-aging program, it's one of the few times that I will literally just stretch and move. Like most of the programs, I don't move around a lot because I'm sweating. I don't know. It's just not how I choose to do it. But on the anti-aging, I feel like I am visually, I'm pampering my skin, from the inside out. And so I just kind of, I move my neck, and I just really pamper myself on the anti-aging program. I love it. It's great.
I love it too. It's one of my favorite. Very quickly before we pivot over to a business type question, I wanted to just mention on your website, you talk about 10 reasons why it's so effective. And you talk about patented medical grade solar carbon heaters. And I wanted to just ask you about that. You have a lot of people can go to your website and see it, but highest quality infrared and ultra low EMF technology. I just thought those were quite good things, safe, non-toxic materials. I mean, that's just a couple of things that I thought maybe worth briefly touching on, that it's a patented medical grade solar carbon heater, because I know there's different types of heaters. Could you briefly explain?
Yeah, just so briefly, I'll make it real easy. So what we did when we first developed this technology is we were committed to we had my brother's story, and it took him so long. Yeah. And so we're like, what, there's got to be a better way. So we researched all the materials, we researched how to do it. And then we spent the rest of the time saying, we're going to develop a heater that's going to deliver just the healing heat, not the hot air, as much of the healing heat as possible. And we found a way to master that 99%, and then we patented it. And so as a consumer, if you're using our product, you're protected, and for sure, you're never going to find something that's higher quality, that's a higher amount of far infrared, because we patented the emitters, and for sure that you're getting the highest quality, medical grade. You couldn't go to a doctor's office and get a higher quality of far infrared, mid infrared, or near infrared available. It's all right here.
That really got my attention when in my decision making. And then very quickly, just talk about the ultra low EMF technology, and then the fact that the materials Okay. Just very briefly that, and then the non-toxic materials.
Yes. Okay. So the EMF, it's always been a mission of ours to cancel out the EMF as much as possible so that you're protected. You have as little as possible electromagnetic field. That's really important to us. And as far as safest materials, every piece of this product is intentional. There isn't anything that's just kind of thrown in. And each plank of wood, the materials we use to sand, the materials we use to protect the heater. This is my favorite story. Is this heater cover is made with a charcoal bamboo fiber, and it's antimicrobial, it's antibacterial, it's infrared emitting. So this actually seals in the infrared heat when you're in here. So it has this wonderful synergistic effect. And I mean, I could go on with every single, part, the control panel of how we've, put that together to make sure that we have the preset programs and we have the music setting. We have the ability to change the lights and the glass because of its emissions. The bench is ergonomic. The just all of the different decisions that we made. It took a long time, but we did that for our, consumers to make sure they had the best experience possible.
It's not toxic at all. Then the towels as well. I know that I use those. They're fantastic at absorbing. Aren't the towels also antibacterial as well?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So that's
we have the towels, robes, wrap, and all that came from when we found this material to cover the heater because we wanted to cover it, have something to lean against. It's kind of got this like stretchy feel to it. Yeah. We also wanted to make sure, like, if you're sweating against it, how do you know that that's safe? And how do you know? And so by having the fiber that protects against bacteria
and microbes and
exactly.
That's
amazing.
And
so then we took that fiber and then we started developing other products, which has led to our carbonized charcoal bamboo towels
and that kind of thing. Yeah. So you couldn't get any mold growing in there for sure. For sure, it would kill it too quickly. Well, that's amazing. Okay, let's pivot to the last question, which is you've obviously been 20 years in this and being a business owner, and I'm sure that an entrepreneur, I'm sure you face lots of obstacles. And how have you dealt with the obstacles in terms of how have you seen them? How have you managed challenges, growing a business, your mental health around that? So a little bit of a business question.
Yeah, that's a big question. So I will succinctly answer. So one of the biggest challenges, obstacles that I faced at Sunlighten for sure was in 2010 when we decided let me back up. So 2009, we had the great opportunity to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show with our Sunlighten Signature unit, which is our far infrared. And when we were on Oprah, we met Dr. Oz, and we told him that we were developing this sauna that had all 3 levels of infrared light. And we were going to find a way to deliver them independently and separately, as well as control them with an Android control panel that you could have programs. We kind of gave him our vision, and he said, "Oh my goodness, I want that." And so here's one of my life lessons of back when I was a little girl, I told you the story about my mom said, you can do anything. Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. Just because you can doesn't mean you always should. And so I've learned that, and that's one of the greatest lessons in business is I always, when I say yes to something, okay, am I saying yes? I know I can, but is this the right yes for me, Connie Zach, at this particular moment in my career? And in 2010, Dr. Oz said, "Would you want to bring your new Impulse sauna onto our show?" And we said yes. And Dr. Leaf, we should have said not yet, because we launched it prematurely because we were so excited about the opportunity to launch it. And so, that it was a lesson, and it was a hard lesson. It was a challenging lesson. It caused a lot of sleepless nights and lost a lot of money.
Oh gosh, so you didn't quite have enough time to get it together properly.
No, and it was one of those things, like, as a business owner, and I'm sure you know this, because you're in charge of your own destiny, you know what you can and can't do. And so, like, if somebody says, "Oh, Connie, do you want to do this?" and you really want to jump at every opportunity, that's kind of just like your intuition. Yeah. And so the answer, he says, "You want to be on in January." If actually it was for a cold and flu and boosting immunity episode is what he asked us to be on. And he wanted to highlight the near infrared and mid infrared and the far infrared back in 10 years ago. Yeah. And so we said yes, and we should have said not yet. And we should have just been locked and loaded, buttoned up, perfect, and everybody got excited about it. And then we weren't ready to ship the product. And then people, wanted it. And, we just had to deal with this supply and demand,
lot of issues,
which is never a good thing to deal with. But we did, and we persevered and we fought through. We really, I think another one of my life lessons is we believed, that it was the right thing to do. The timing was not, but the product it was the right thing. And so we had the science and the data, and we just need to continue to persevere and fight through and hire people who were brighter and smarter, which is another life lesson. I mean, I have like probably 3 lives of lessons.
You can write a book. You can write a book, not just about saunas, but about life lessons for running a business and all the mistakes, but you persevered through the mistakes. That's the key thing, is you've got to face the stuff and then push through and keep going.
You're right. You have that. In fact, that was the exact quote that my business partner, my husband, Aaron, that we lived by, was a quote. I think it's Winston Churchill. I'm trying to remember who wrote it, because I don't want to, it's definitely his quote, whoever, it's not mine, but it says, when you're going through hell, keep going. And I remember where we both were when we heard somebody from stage say that. We both looked at each other. We're like, okay, keep going. We're just going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We're going to eventually come out, and that's one of the greatest things, that I could give. I have lots of those types of stories, but when you ask the question, the first thing that popped into my head was persevering.
That's excellent advice, and excellent advice for anyone who's an entrepreneur. And this COVID has brought a lot of entrepreneurial instincts out of people, which is fantastic, because that's also very, very good for, to grow new businesses and things and get entrepreneurial spirit going. So that's really good advice. So where can people find out more about you and get one of these amazing saunas?
Yeah, so you can come to our website at sunlighten.com. That's sunlighten.com. And if you mention DRLEAF, you'll get an extra special discount. So please do that. And you could call. We have a toll-free number. You can contact me directly if you have any questions. I always want to make myself accessible. Sometimes people get really confused, and in the spirit of mental health and making sure people are as positive and feel supported as possible. I don't ever want somebody to feel like, okay, I just can't do anything because I don't know enough, and this is a great resource, what you're doing. And I'm available as a resource if you need. I can answer your questions as well.
That's amazing. Well, we'll put the show all the links in the show notes and all the details. And I am going to go straight from this interview into my sauna, because I haven't had my sauna yet today. So I'm looking forward to it. It's always like one of the things, a really big treat, is to go into the sauna at the end of the day when I've done a lot of work and just watch a movie. It's just so great just to switch off, and it's like a reward. And you've come out feeling mentally and physically refreshed. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise. And thank you for persevering and making one of the best saunas ever. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all the feedback, and thanks for having me on today. It was such an honor and such a pleasure to spend this time with you.
Oh, I feel the same. Thank you so much.